Hey guys, Alex here with Heckman Productions, and welcome to the third episode of my 2024 YZ450 bike build, but it's for 2025. Today's a pretty cool one. We're actually going to be going over to TK Motorworks, start getting this motor ready to rip. Big thanks to YZ450 pistons and Recluse racing clutches for hooking me up with this build. They were a huge help, and it wouldn't be possible without them. So we're going to be putting in a Crankworks crank rebuild, and then all new YZ450 top end and bushing seals, all that stuff, piston, and then a Recluse clutch as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to get on our way over to TK's and start ripping into it.
Alex, first rule, failed. Didn't drain his own oil. Luckily, the Yamaha makes it easy. It's right there. Boom. Well, I can tear into this beast. Make Yamahas better. Put a plain bearing rod in it. Make it shine. Maybe port it a little. You know, see what the seat area looks like. Golf cart parts.
To try to win this race.
Welcome to TK Motorworks.
I can't even believe this has happened. I mean, Tony Stewart.
We like race cars. I'm a goon.
Yeah, that's no come. You were 20.
Looking for sponsors to find a Nissan Altima for October 11th. If you know anybody. Take a good look at this dirty turd. It's quite dirty. About to be refreshed. More reliable than ever. Cleaner than ever. Get rid of this gunk. Make this shine. Pardon my language. Gotta keep it PG. Make this beast shine. Is that better? Alright, so here's a little bit inside the Heckman production machine. I don't know how many hours are on the cylinder. Can't remember what Alex said, but a lot of cross hatching still left. It's hard to see because it's so reflective and in good shape. One little vertical line, can't feel anything with your finger, but very, very good shape. Head as well. The guy does a good job of taking care of his valves by keeping his air filter clean. Normal markings on the exhaust. Probably gonna bust out the grinder and clean up all this nasty areas coming into the basically give it a pocket port, clean up everything coming in and out of the seat, and just make it flow a little bit better. Not a lot of horsepower to be gained because these things are such beasts, but a nice 5-angle valve job would do a lot. These things got some cool seats and how they're cut, because the guides are put into a different angle as the seats, and then the seats are cut at a little different angle than they're set in. So that's why the seat and head area there is cut the way it is. I don't know all the details because I'm not the machinist, but I know a little bit about it. Enough to be dangerous, they say. Cam journals, all that stuff looks really good. Again, from changing the oil, keeping up on that. Everything laid out here, camshafts right here. Everything looks great. Nothing abnormal. Change your oil, people. It helps a lot. I really honestly shouldn't be in this engine. It's that nice inside. And these engines have a bad rap for the rods going out, but that thing's tight as can be. You just can't go by the service manual. That 7-hour recommendation is about 5 hours too long on less than a quart of oil. Especially with how fast these are and how much people use the clutch to keep them under control. So, intake valves. And if you get all the dirt that drops past the filter when you pull it out, you don't have any issues with your valves wearing out. These things look beautiful. The only thing that I did find, typical Yamaha problem from my experience in all these years, working on street bikes and all that, they always got rough starter clutches. You can feel some drag on this. And you can see, if I pop this apart, the one-way clutch, sprag clutch there, that all looks good. When you get down into where that rides on, a lot of chattering. You really can't avoid it. It's going to happen regardless. I can replace this and it's going to be right there, but once this gets so bad, that one-way clutch won't grab. And that's when you get those things where you hit the button, you just hear that whirr, and there goes clunk and grabs. It's because it finally found a spot where it's got enough tolerance to grab something, but you can see there it's just kind of chattered out. So we might replace this gear, but only because it's on its way out. Sad. Little roughness in some of the bearings in here, but these are dry, so there's no lube on these. Counterbalancer bearings feel great. Transmission bearings are tight. You can hear they're rough. Replace these. They gotta come out anyways to vapor hone the cases, and he's got new mains. That's not uncommon. This one's noisy though. That's pretty rough. And then maybe a little moisture got in there from Michigan weathers. Counterbalancer's not bad. This trans bearing's not bad. This one won't spin at all. This one's pretty bad. This one's spinning loaded by the chain. When you run your chain too tight, puts a lot of tension on your axle, your sprockets, and it also loads this bearing very heavy to the back. Premature wear, a lot of pitting. Even the shift drum bearing here a little bit is rough, but as I mentioned earlier, the crank in great shape. Very, very, very little side to side. Minimal amount of deflection for something that's got about 60-70 hours on it. We'll get this pressed apart and saved just to see and inspect how everything is. We'll measure it all out in the pins. We're upgrading it to a plain bearing style to where there is no roller, no cage, and it'll live off the oil pressure like the modern KTMs, and everything will be very, very happy. So here's how good the piston looks. Again, I almost don't know why we're in here. It's that nice. I didn't check the end gap on the rings because they're definitely not worn out. And his clutch. Alex is definitely gentle on his clutch for something that's quick. There's little to no discoloration. Very, very minimal wear. Even in the middle of the pack. This is the only plate that has a little bit of color to it, really. Right on the outside of the pack, it's the third plate in. But the steels are still nice and shiny. Everything's really good. Pretty impressed, considering all the horror stories I've seen, and this is the first newer generation Yamaha I've been into. It's all good stuff.
And look at that thing. The motor looks so good. I've never had Cerakote on my motor before. TK absolutely blew it out of the water with how thick this looks and everything. I do want to get a new engine plug because obviously you can't have a brand new looking motor with that engine plug there. Don't have as good a lighting over here, but big thank you to Wiseco for hooking us up with some internals for the engine, and Recluse. If it wasn't for those two companies, this whole rebuilding of the motor really wouldn't be possible. So we got a whole new top end kit in there. And as you saw in the videos that TK took, which I really appreciate him doing, also talking about the internals of the motor, because he knows way more about it than I do. I wouldn't really know what I'm looking at or what to point out, whereas he does. He pointed out that this motor looked really good inside. So basically everything that I did is just preventative maintenance. The clutch had 45 hours on it, so like I wanted to do a new clutch. Obviously the Recluse clutch is going to be way better than the stock clutch was, and I put in a more durable crank. So this thing should theoretically go for like 100 hours, especially for the way that I maintain my bike. I take really good care of it. Regular air filter changes, regular oil changes, more often than what the manual says. So yeah, I'm really stoked about having this in the bike. And how about we try starting this thing for the first time? All right, guys, so we got the bike all together. Oh, forgot to do this. I haven't been recording me putting everything together just because I've been on a time crunch. Supposed to leave on our trip literally tomorrow. So thankfully we got the bike up and running. You saw the first start. It took a minute to get going. I actually figured out it's because I forgot to plug in the sensor for the airbox. So it was throwing that fault code. It was still running though. So I plugged that in, and through no fault codes, started right up and sounds amazing. So let it run a little bit, and we're gonna just break it on the track. Everything looks and sounds awesome. Been putting everything together and like just adding bits and pieces here and there. Obviously have a Twin Air Power Flow kit on here now, which is pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to seeing if that helps with a little bit of throttle response. I also threw on a Cherbis skid plate to match. Everything's black. You got the black Cerakote, the black frame, and now black skid plate there. So really excited about that look, and obviously have brand new chain and sprockets from Sunstar. So obviously already have some of the graphics on. The rest of them are actually on inside the house, but that is going to be for the next episode. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. Episode 4 will be doing the graphics installation. FamaMex Designs did a killer job on the printing, and I can't wait to share that footage with you guys. So make sure to check out the sponsors of this build and the channel down below, as this whole build and everything I do here wouldn't be possible without them. So really appreciate them, and I really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.